Alright guys, welcome to Next Gen Rugger. So last week we did the Northern Bulls and this time it's the turn of the Central Cheetahs. So if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification, and as soon as new videos are released, you'll be the first to know. So first up, a big thank you to Zeno the creator once again for his awesome designs and his hard work. You can find him on Instagram, he's tagged in all of our posts. And obviously, you guys might have noticed that there haven't been a lot of videos released as there have been in the past. That's because there have been furious behind the scenes negotiations, and we're going to be partnering up with some very high profile partners in the near future. So big things are happening, so we're very busy with that. But everything will return to normal as soon as those negotiations have died down. So I want to take this chance to thank everyone who took the time to vote. The voting was absolutely furious, well over 2,000 votes in total on this one, so we're obviously gaining some traction over here, which is great. And, a lot of you guys commented before that you didn't expect this sort of section of the draft to be that competitive, but believe me, it was competitive. So unlike last week when we started out at fullback, we're going to start out at loosehead prop. So the first winner in terms of votes was from Volcom Jim, Holiday and Vuyo, or Vuyo Holiday. And he's a youngster at Volcom Jim, very, very good player, and was definitely hoping to make his mark this year. Obviously, he just played the game against Grey College, and I think Halpmacar and Menlo, they also played. Volcom looked very impressive this year. I think he made a transition from lock to prop this year, and definitely expecting big things from him in the future. Then moving on to hooker, which was an extremely tight vote. Very, very tight. It was between this guy and a youngster from Volcom Gym, but ultimately just winning star hooker from Grey College, Ricardo Verree. And those of you guys that watched last year, you would have noticed that Ricardo was playing on the flank a bit, but he transitioned to hooker this year, which is his preferred position, and definitely a contender for SA school selection. We're not 100% sure he'll be plying his trade next year, but definitely hoping he stays in the country because this is a talent we'd definitely like to keep. And then our tight head needs no introduction, Tilman Niverhout from Grey College. Who can ever forget that game last year against Porterus when he literally caught a backline player. Very, very strong player, got a lot of pace for a big man, and definitely a bright future in the game. Definitely looking forward to seeing how he develops. And then our first lock we have from Grey College, Donnie Lowe. This was another tight one of the votes, but a lot of you guys that have been following school rugby know what a talent Donnie is, and no surprise that he would make it to this list. Another player that would have definitely have hoped to push for SA school selection this year, but obviously with Craven Week and all the rest of that being cancelled, wasn't quite possible. And then our first bolter from St Andrews, Bloemfontein, Duncan Edwards. And this was also a very tight vote, but the St Andrews Bloem guys came through for their player. A very well-respected player in the area. Big talent, big boy as well. I'm not sure what he's planning on doing in the future professionally, but let's hope to see him in the game. Duncan Edwards from St Andrews School. I'm sure there might be some celebrations there tonight for the selection. Then moving on, we have at blindside Duan Ludik, and another very special player that would have been pushing on for higher honours this year. Rough and tumble flank, likes to get physical, very good in the breakdown. Definitely a top talent, and like most of the grey guys, we don't know what's happening with him next year, but hopefully we'll find out soon. Next player, Dion LaRue, open side flank. Another great player. Obviously would be bitterly disappointed with rugby being cancelled this year because, he would have definitely 100% been pushing towards SA school selection as well. I think when you go to grey, it's just a natural progression, right? You're basically definitely going to play Craven Week, so you really actually, your ultimate goal is to play for South African schools. And Dion's a very special player. We're going to be doing his highlights reel very soon and looking forward to that, so you can basically see what a tremendous talent he is. And then 8th man, a player that I've talked about a lot, guys, and for good reason. Sizonke Vumazonke. You guys have seen the highlights reel. You would have seen him play last year. An absolute absolutely lethal player. I mean, very athletic, very physical, and has the respect of his peers as well. I mean, he was named Grey College captain this year, and honestly, I think he probably would have been a top contender, if not the top contender for SA Schools captain this year. I don't even question whether or not he would have made SA Schools. He would have made SA Schools. There's no doubt about it. Still no official news on his future, so we'll wait for the official news before anything gets announced. And definitely looking forward to seeing him in the future. I mean, he's got all the attributes to become a Springbok one day. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I can't say enough good things about this youngster. Then scrum off, we have Tiaan Fourie, and it was a very tight one. Normally, I don't discuss the total votes and all the rest of it. And look, a lot of you guys have asked me about this. Why don't you show the total votes? And it's because, like, let's be honest. I mean, if they were all competitive, I would. But what ends up happening is that you get the guy placing fifth with like 2 or 3 votes, and that's not going to do anything good for anyone's self-esteem. So I generally keep those pretty much to myself. But I don't mind saying who it was tight with, because Tiaan and JD Olivier are both scrum halves at Grey College, and it just shows you the amount of depth at the school. JD's an absolutely fantastic player, Tiaan's an absolutely fantastic player, and Tiaan managed to pull through. He's another player we're looking at doing highlights reel for. Very special player, very big future in the game, and yet another one, no idea what he's going to be doing next year, but definitely look forward to seeing what happens. Then Flyhalf, a superstar in the making, Jean Smith, Grey College. I really thought at the beginning of this year that we might just see, maybe another option at Flyhalf. There was another player that I thought Grey might go with. I wasn't that surprised when they went with Jean. He's a fantastic player, but when I saw him play, I just thought to myself, like, this is definitely a star who's on the rise. I mean, he had an absolutely fantastic game, especially against Volcom Gym, showed composure beyond his years, very accurate kicking boot, and definitely a massive future in the game. And the scary thing is he's only in grade 11, so who knows what he's going to be able to achieve next year. And no doubt he should be, not even knocking on the door, he should be pushing that door down for SA school selection. So his father is actually Franco Smith. He's the coach of Italy now, and his brother was Franco Jr., who played in the Grey College team in 2018, who I actually thought was one of the most underrated players in that 2018 team. Fantastic centre. So obviously the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in terms of the Smith family. So Jean Smith, your flower for the Central Cheetahs. Then on the left wing, unfortunately, we made a bit of an error here. It says right wing. Apologies for that. But on the left wing, we have Franco Knutzer, another player from Grey College, and absolute talent. 100% would have been in SA schools this year. He's just too good. And just to let you know about the character of this guy, right? Earlier in the year, I sent him a message and I said, hey, we'd love to feature you on the channel. Fantastic player. And he came back and he said, look, while it would be fantastic for me, I'd love to be on the channel and all the rest of it, what I don't want to do is take up the space of another youngster who maybe needs exposure more than I do. And that just shows you the character of this guy. His try last year against Port Royal was probably the best try I've seen over the last couple of years in school rugby. And he scored a lot of similar tries to that as well. I don't know, he just has the ability to spot the gap and also to sidestep his opposition into submission. He can play anywhere along the backline, and there's even a possibility you could say that versatility might be a curse, because he has been known to be a fantastic fly-off. He's played on the wing, he's played at fullback, but such as his talent, I believe that versatility is going to be an invaluable asset going forward, and there's no doubt that you have to remember this guy's name, because he's going to be going extremely far in the world of rugby. Then we have at inside centre Testimony Dodo from Volcom Gym. Now, Testimony was playing in the KZN region last year and just moved to Volcom Gym this year, where he's hoping to stamp his authority on the game. Definitely looking good in the first couple of games that he played. Definitely would have walked into the Griffons team, would have definitely made a push for SA schools, and definitely looking forward to seeing how he develops in the future. No idea of where he's going yet, but no doubt he should be moving on to higher honours, and no doubt he should be getting a professional contract. I mean, any province that gets him will be very fortunate. Then next up we have at outside centre, Gert Steyn from Grey College. Now, it just shows you that I've never claimed to be an oracle of rugby. I've never claimed to know everything about school rugby. I'm learning all the time, and Gert wasn't really even on my radar. So when he was named in the starting lineup of the Grey College team, I was very curious, obviously as you get, and then when I saw him in the couple of games that he played, I was just like, okay, now I completely understand why he's there. He's only in grade 11, which means next year he's definitely going to be unleashed on the stage, and definitely expect big things from him. Very, very talented player, very versatile in his gameplay. Not really a one-trick pony, and it's going to be interesting to see he combines with next year. I think he might just be combining with Regan Isaacs, and I'm just thinking to myself, a backline with Jean Smith, Regan Isaacs, and Gert Steyn. You got Alfonso Isaacs that'll be coming up at under 17 level. I mean, Grey are just looking dangerous again next year. Very, very talented players. Then on the right wing, we have another very, very special player, Pashal Akeji. And this guy's just an absolutely lethal athlete. I mean, if you watch him play, especially just do yourself a favor, go into DigiTV, watch the Grey College versus Volcom Gym game. When he came onto the field, magic just happened. He's just got that ability. He's such a talented athlete. I can't say enough about his athletic ability. He's also a very humble guy, not arrogant. He wants to work hard. He wants to go places. And I know that there was offers to go into other sports, and I'm sure there's been overseas contracts and all the rest of it, but his whole thing is that he wants to become a Springbok. That's his goal, and his whole feeling on that is that he wants to stay in the country, he wants to work hard, he wants to achieve everything that he possibly can, and he wants to go all the way to the top. And with that talent and that humility, I've got no doubt in my mind Pashal can go all the way to the top. Believe me, if this season was allowed to continue in its entirety, I'm 120% convinced that Pashal would have scored 20 plus tries this season. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Absolutely brilliant athlete, very good youngster. He's definitely got everything it takes to rise to the top. And then last, but certainly not least, one of the top prospects in the country, Nabo Sekoe, another great college player. I mean, what else can you say about Nabo? I mean, if you watched him play last year, you would have seen what a special talent he is. I've never, ever in my life, in terms of youth rugby, seen someone with the hands that Nabo has. I mean, his hands are unbelievable. You can throw the ball at his toes and he'll pick it up. Also his running lines, even his defense. I mean, he's so brave in defense. You take a look at him, he's not the biggest guy, but it doesn't matter what size you are. If you're running towards him, he's going to take you down. Just a naturally gifted athlete. I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that Nabo would have made SA schools this year. I mean, he would have been one of the first names on the list. I think he could even be in the mix next year for the SA Under-20 as an Under-19. I really do believe that he should be on that plane, along with a couple of the other players that I'll mention in a video a bit later on. But Nabo is definitely, to me, one of those guys. And if I had to venture a guess, I'd say 5 to 6 years after school, don't be surprised to see him in the mix for the Springboks. And before you think it's a crazy idea, just remember what happened with Apalele Fassi. Apalele Fassi came out of nowhere and I was in Springbok contention. I'm saying 5 or 6 years because of the depth we have in the back three, but it still could be sooner. But there's no doubt in my mind, if Nabo continues on his current trajectory, he will 120% become a Springbok. And this year, what's so disappointing about it is that the group of 2020, the sheer amount of athletic talent we have in this country right now, especially in the 2020 group, is absolutely frightening. This is one of the strongest generations that we'll ever see in terms of players and player depth and all the rest of it. And the biggest disappointment to me is that obviously COVID robbed us of all of that. So we'd never be able to see these guys in their matric year. Now think about what Nabo did last year on his first team. I think it was his first team debut when he scored 4 tries. I mean, as a grade 11, can you imagine what he would have done this year as a grade 12 in his senior year? And with that great college backline, with Steyn, with Smith, with Akeji, with Knutzer, with Sekoe, it would have just been an unbelievable team. And it's really sad we're not going to be able to see these guys. But who knows what can happen? Maybe if things calm down a bit, maybe if Cyril and Nkosazana change their minds, maybe we can see a little bit of rugby this year, and maybe we can see some of these talents shine like they deserve to. But so far, not so good, so to speak, and that's why we're doing this fantasy draft. So, voting is open right now, guys, on the South Coast Kings. That includes players from the Eastern Province, Border, and Southwestern Districts unions. So, head on to www.nextgenrugger.com. You'll see the post over there, and you can start voting for your players. Have a fantastic week further. Cheers. Bye.